It's the 7th of July 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I am Hashini Patirana. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
%18 VAT from the 1st of October on non-resident entities supplying digital services via electronic platforms to Sri Lankan consumers. Sri Lanka to implement property tax from 2027, IMF staff report reveals. Trump's tariff deadline extended until the 1st of August. Former Minister Kehelia and 11 others issued notice by 3-judge bench over substandard vaccine scam. Daughter of specialist Dr. Maheshi Vijayaratna remanded for allegedly threatening bribery commission officials. In your top story for tonight, an 18% VAT or value-added tax will be imposed on services provided by non-resident individuals or entities to Sri Lankans through electronic platforms with effect from the 1st of October. The measure has been officially announced through an extraordinary gazette issued under the signature of the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue.
What is this new VAT?
A new 18% value-added tax will be imposed on services provided via electronic platforms by non-resident individuals or entities to customers in Sri Lanka starting from the 1st October. VAT or value-added tax is charged on the total value of a service or product. In this case, the full value of the service provided will be subject to VAT at the rate of 18%. This tax will apply specifically to services delivered through digital platforms by parties based outside Sri Lanka.
What type of services are affected?
According to the extraordinary gazette issued by the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue, over 18 categories of services will fall under this new VAT regulation. These include cloud computing services such as hosting, data storage and computing power, software as a service and web-based applications, e-commerce platforms, online stores, payment gateways and order fulfillment services. Digital marketing services including SEO, social media advertising, email marketing and pay-per-click ads. Cybersecurity services such as threat detection, firewall protection and data encryption. IT support and management services including remote tech support, consulting and digital solutions. Streaming platforms offering video, music or live content. Fintech services like online banking, payment processing and cryptocurrency platforms. Online marketplaces, social media platforms, on-demand service platforms, content sharing platforms, cloud collaboration tools, online gambling platforms, blockchain and NFT platforms, membership-based websites that charge subscription fees, online booking services for hotels and travel tickets.
How will the VAT be collected?
Services supplied by non-resident persons who physically and totally outside Sri Lanka are subject to value-added tax when they are providing services to Sri Lankan consumers through electronic platforms such as website or mobile or other electronic methods. Currently, VAT registration threshold is for a year 60 million and for a quarter it's 15 million. So if any non-resident person who provides such digital services to Sri Lankan consumers have exceeded these threshold, they have to register with the Inland Revenue Department as a registered person. And thereafter they have to collect value-added tax from the supplies that they are making to the Sri Lankan consumers. Likewise, they have to collect VAT and pay to the department. From the Sri Lankan consumers' perspective, there are VAT registered persons and non-VAT registered persons who consume those services. VAT registered persons can claim input tax subject to the provisions of value-added tax once they paid value-added tax to the non-resident persons who are providing digital services. So likewise, they have to comply with the Gazette notification and provisions of the Value-Added Tax Act with effect from 1st October 2025.
The latest staff report released by the International Monetary Fund reports that Sri Lanka plans to roll out property tax in 2027.
Sri Lanka is preparing to introduce a nationwide property tax system by the first half of 2027, according to the latest staff report released by the International Monetary Fund. The IMF report outlines a detailed roadmap for the development of the necessary data infrastructure to support property taxation. Central to this effort is the creation of a comprehensive and digitized database of property valuations, which will serve as the backbone for assessing property values and calculating tax liabilities. The first phase of the project involves digitizing historical valuation records held by the Government Valuation Department, beginning with municipal councils. Authorities aim to complete this digitization process by the end of 2025. In parallel, the government has launched a provisional digital sales price and rents register designed to capture current market value estimates across the country. By June 2026, the government plans to integrate the digitized historical records with the SPRR to create a unified national database of properties with estimated market values. Importantly, the database will be made accessible to key government institutions including the Inland Revenue Department, the Valuation Department, the Land Registry and the general public by September 2026.
As the world braces for a potential seismic shift in global trade policy, two major developments are reshaping the international economic landscape. The looming threat of sweeping US tariffs under a potential second Trump administration and a unified call from BRICS nations for urgent reforms to the International Monetary Fund.
The United States is close to finalizing several trade pacts in coming days and will notify other countries of higher tariff rates by 9th of July. President Donald Trump said on Sunday, with the higher rates set to take effect on 1st of August. Since taking office, Trump has set off a global trade war that has roiled financial markets and sent policymakers scrambling to protect their economies through efforts such as deals with the United States and other countries.
Tariff rates, do they change on July 9th or August 1st?
They're going to be tariffs. The tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th, yeah. Either a letter or a deal.
But they go into effect on August 1st. Tariffs go into effect August 1st, but the president is setting the rates and the deals right now.
US President Donald Trump has threatened new tariffs on any nation supporting anti-American policies of the BRICS group of emerging economies, as he announced tariff letters would be sent out to scores of countries from Monday, ahead of a key deadline. In a Truth Social post on Sunday, Trump said the US would impose an additional 10% tariff on any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS with no exemptions, though it was not immediately clear which policies Trump was referring to.
The BRICS group, an acronym of founding members Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, has long stood as a disparate body of countries united by a shared view that global power sharing should be redistributed to reflect current global economic realities for a multipolar as opposed to a West-led world order. The group has recently expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates as members and has 10 lower partner countries including Belarus, Nigeria, Thailand and Vietnam. It's not clear if Saudi Arabia has accepted an invitation to join the economic club. The US administration's 90-day tariff pause is set to come to an end on Wednesday, and Trump confirmed on Sunday night that letters will be sent out to dozens of countries from Monday. On the 9th April, Trump announced a complete 3-month pause on all the reciprocal tariffs after insisting historically high tariffs were here to stay. So far, Trump has only announced deals with 3 countries: the United Kingdom, which maintained a 10% tariff rate, China, which temporarily paused sky-high duties on most goods from 145% to 30%, and a minimum 20% tariff on goods from Vietnam.
Trump's threat of new tariffs on any nation supporting the anti-American policies of BRICS countries on Sunday inject fresh instability and uncertainty into the president's global tariff campaign as the July 9th deadline for reciprocal tariff negotiations approaches. Some BRICS countries have been negotiating directly with Trump administration, in particular India. It's unclear if Trump's new threat would impact those talks.
Trump earlier this year threatened to place a 100% tariff on seemingly hostile member countries if they supported a shared currency. The idea of a BRICS currency was floated by Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in 2023, but has not been a focus of the body, which rather seeks to bolster trade and financing in their local currencies. BRICS countries also condemned the military strikes on member state Iran and expressed serious concern over deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure and peaceful nuclear facilities, without naming Israel, which carried out days of strikes against Iran last month, or the US, which bombed 3 Iranian nuclear facilities as part of the same onslaught. Economists have warned that Trump's trade war, especially the wide-ranging tariffs on Chinese imports, will increase costs of consumers. Some companies, including Walmart, have said they will raise prices for customers despite pushback from Trump. Several parties pointed out today that if Sri Lanka doesn't approach discussions on this matter properly, it will lead to serious complications.
A Sri Lankan delegation claimed to have travelled to the USA and held discussions regarding this. However, the government has so far failed to disclose the outcome of those discussions. What we are seeing is that this government lacks a skilled and expert team capable of managing the country's economy, foreign policy and actively participating in such discussions. The government hasn't been able to hold discussions with a powerful nation and reach a mutually flexible agreement to mitigate the damage and impact on our country's economy.
අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබිලා තියෙන විදිහට නැවත වතාවක් ඒ බදු පැනවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙමින් තියෙනවා.
From what we understand, they are once again moving forward with these tax impositions. We still don't know the exact amount of taxes imposed on Sri Lanka so far. However, we have our doubts this time too whether our government took a constructive step regarding these taxes and whether they took the necessary diplomatic action to reduce the tax burden through discussions.
ගත යුතු රාජ්‍යතාන්ත්‍රික මට්ටමේ සාධනීය පියවරක් ගත්තද කියන සැකය අපිට තියෙනවා.
සහනයක් කොහොමද දැනෙන්න දෙන්න.
We need to let them feel some relief, and reducing this is crucial. Otherwise, industries like apparel and tea will face issues.
පොඩි ගැටලුවක් එනවා කියන එකයි මගේ හිතන්නේ.
A special felicitation ceremony was held to mark the completion of 50 years of priesthood of the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit.
The special felicitation ceremony took place at the Archbishop's house in Colombo. The event was attended by a distinguished gathering including President Anurukumara Dissanayake, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, Leader of the Opposition Sajith Premadasa, as well as leaders of all major religious denominations and a host of invited guests.
Monsieur Roberto Lucchini, Charles Lefebvre, Apostolic Archdiocese of Colombo. Very Reverend Father Roshan Silva Oimai, President.
As part of the celebration, a commemorative postage stamp and a first day cover were officially issued to mark this significant milestone.
තම මේ සුවිශේෂී අවස්ථාවක් වසර 50ක ඉමහත් අසිරිමත් ගමනක පූජක දිව්‍ය තුල කතෝලික සභාවට ඒ වගේම ජාතියට කළ මෙහෙවරටයි ඒ අවස්ථාව උදා වෙන්නේ.
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි කවුරු සංකීර්ණ තත්වයකදී කලබල වෙනවා. හැබැයි උන්වහන්සේ අතිශය සංකීර්ණ තත්වයකදී නිවෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම
In complex situations, most of us tend to panic, but His Eminence remains calm and composed under any circumstance, especially during incidents like the Easter Sunday attack, a profoundly challenging event that shook the entire nation. While society was engulfed in anger and turmoil, His Eminence maintained his calmness. I believe this remarkable quality helped prevent the situation from escalating further, and for that, our society is deeply grateful. Had he not possessed this ability to stay calm that day, we can only imagine the consequences our society might be facing now. I have had the opportunity to meet and discuss with His Eminence on several occasions, and I am aware of the immense pain he carries bearing the suffering until justice is served to the victims. In every conversation, His Eminence consistently asks what steps can be taken to ensure justice for the victims of this tragedy. Sometimes he questions calmly, sometimes with a hint of uncertainty, and other times with a sincere and compelling insistence on finding true justice. His concern is solely driven by the urgent need to provide rightful justice to those affected by the Easter Sunday attacks. Here, before His Eminence, I want to pledge that I will do everything in my power to pursue justice for this cause, refusing to let it fade away with time. I understand this is an extremely challenging task. While it may be easier for the government to outsource investigations to external parties, conducting thorough inquiries within the government itself is far more difficult. We have reached a point where the government must question its own ranks. It is a daunting task, but one that is essential. Justice must prevail. The government must hold itself accountable, face this challenge head-on, and we must all stand united in this effort.
රජයත් එක්ක ගැටීමකට රජය තුල විමර්ශනයකට දියත් කිරීමේ අභියෝගය අපිට තිබෙනවා. කළ යුතුයි.
අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමනි ඔබතුමා වසර 75ක පමණ කාලයක් අප රට තුල ඒකාධිපති වියරුවට ඉඩකඩ සැකසූ දේශපාලන අන්තවාදයන් අප සමාජයෙන් ඉවත් කර දමන්නට වෙර දැරීම අපි අගය කරමු. මානව හිමිකම් අමුවේ උල්ලංඝනය කරමින් මාධ්‍යවේදීන් දේශපාලන විවේචකයින් හා අවංකවම මේ රට ආදරය කළ උන් විනාශ කරමින්ද දූෂණය රට තුල ව්‍යාප්ත කරමින්ද ඒකාධිපති ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් ජනිත කර රට තුල භීෂණය පතුරවා හරිමින්
We appreciate your efforts to eliminate extremist political ideologies, including authoritarianism, that have engulfed our nation for the past 75 years. We commend your sincere commitment to eradicating a political culture that openly violated human rights, murdering journalists, political critics, and true patriots. This was a culture that allowed corruption to infiltrate the nation, enabled the passing of an authoritarian constitution, spread violence across the country, fueled hatred among communities and religions, and dragged the nation into a 30-year war by igniting racial tensions. Our nation now seeks the dawn of a new era. We respectfully request that you work toward national prosperity while preserving religious and social values, our ancient dignity, and lasting peace. We urge you to formulate plans that strengthen the country's agricultural, fisheries, and labor industries, going beyond the recommendations of the IMF and other agencies to combat poverty and address the extreme cost of living faced by our people. We further call for thorough investigations into murders, disappearances, underworld activities, and heinous crimes such as the Easter attacks. In addition, we urge you to probe corrupt projects that have burdened the country with further debt and ensure that such actions are never repeated. We strongly urge the expedited establishment of a prosecutorial office to pursue justice for the Easter attacks and the full implementation of the recommendations set forth in the Presidential Commission report on the attacks.
ප්‍රහාරයවැනි බිහිසුණු අපරාධ මෙන්ම රට මත ණයබර පැට වූ දූෂිත ව්‍යාපෘති ගැන සොයා බලා එවැනි දූෂිත ක්‍රියා ඉදිරියට නොවන ලෙස වග බලා ගන්නටද තවදුරටත් ක්‍රියාකාරී වන මෙන් ඔබතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිමු. පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය පිටුපස ක්‍රියාකාරී වූ කුමන්ත්‍රණය කුමක්දයි රටට එළිදරව් කරන්නට ඔබතුමා පොරොන්දු අභිචෝදක කාර්යාලය හැකි ඉක්මනින් ස්ථාපිත කරන්නටත් මේ පිළිබඳව පත්කනු ලැබූ ජනාධිපති කොමිෂන් සභා වාර්තාවේ සඳහන් නිර්දේශ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නටත් යොහුසුළු වන මෙන් ඔබතුමන්ගෙන් ඉතා ඕනෑකමින් ඉල්ලා සිටිමු.
News First with the people.
Very warm and special welcome to Your Excellency Thabo Mbeki. Thank you so much for gracing us this evening.
An exclusive conversation with the legendary Thabo Mbeki, former South African president and vice president to the legendary Nelson Mandela. Value the past, build the future. Liberation, unity, tough truths, and lessons for Sri Lanka.
How did you balance this dual responsibility?
I would say today, it's really because you base your knowledge and your experience on the experience of the past.
Former President of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, in conversation with Siobhan Daniel. On air on Wednesday, the 9th of July at 10:30 p.m. on Sirasa TV.
Sirasa Dancing Star. The preliminary round selection tests will be held on July 4th at 9 a.m. at Trincomalee Municipal Council premises, July 5th at 9 a.m. at Badulla Town Hall premises, July 6th at 9 a.m. at Carter's Golf Said premises, July 8th at 9 a.m. at Ratmalana Stein Studio Complex. If you are an excellent dancer, come to the nearest venue with your dance group and showcase your talent.
Welcome back to the news. The daughter of Dr. Maheshi Vijayaratne, who was arrested in connection with issuing threats to officials of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, was remanded until the 9th of July. The order was issued by the Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayatunga earlier today.
The suspect was arrested by the Kesalwata police earlier today and was presented in court following her arrest. She was further remanded after she was presented to court. When the case was called, the Kesalwata police and the Bribery Commission presented facts against the suspect through 2 B reports. Investigation officers stated that the daughter of remanded specialist neurosurgeon Dr. Maheshi Vijayratna issued death threats to officials of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption last Friday. The threats had been made when the officials were leaving court premises after presenting facts to court over a case filed against the suspect's mother. They stated that the suspect had threatened the Bribery Commission officials within the court premises, saying, "Court, I will kill you all," end quote. Investigating officers pointed out that making such a statement is an offence punishable under the penal code. They stated that the suspect had provided a statement to the Cinnamon Gardens police the following day after the incident. In addition, the suspect had also sent an email to the Director General of the Bribery Commission stating that the incident was a misunderstanding. They also stated that the suspect had confessed to the Cinnamon Gardens police, admitting to the offence. President's counsel Upul Kumara Peruma and Maitri Gunaratna, appearing for the suspect, stated that their client is still a young woman aged 21. The lawyers emphasized that she studies in English and cannot speak or write in Sinhala. Accordingly, the President's counsels pointed out that their client cannot pronounce Sinhala words as claimed by the investigating officers. The lawyers emphasized that the suspect's father had passed away and her brother is in England, and that the incident occurred on that day due to mental stress caused by her mother being remanded. The President's counsels stated that if the suspect had unknowingly made such a statement to the investigating officers, she apologizes for it. They also informed the court that she is receiving treatment for depression. They requested the court to release the suspect on suitable bail conditions, as the charges against her can be granted bail under Section 125(2) of the Penal Code. Considering the submissions of both parties, the Chief Magistrate ordered the suspect to be remanded until the 9th of July and instructed the investigating officers to obtain a report on her mental health.
The Colombo High Court trial at bar issued summons to former Health Minister Kehiliya Rambukwella and 11 other defendants, instructing them to appear in court on the 11th of July in connection to the case filed against them on the distribution of substandard vaccines within the country's hospital system. The case filed against the defendants under 13 indictments is scheduled to be called on the 11th by the 3-judge bench comprising High Court judges Mahen Viraman, Amali Ranavira and Pradeep Aberatna. Meanwhile, former Minister Duminda Disanayaka and 2 others who were arrested on suspicion regarding the gold-plated T-56 firearm have been remanded until the 15th of July. This decision came after they were presented before the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court. The magistrate ordered for the suspects to be remanded once more since court was satisfied with the evidence concerning the first and second suspects over possessing the firearm, and the probe into Duminda Disanayaka had not been completed.
A close associate of former Deputy Minister Sivanesathurai Chandrakanthan, alias Pillayan, has been arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department on charges related to murder and abduction. Now, according to the police, he was arrested in Kalmunai.
Meanwhile, K. Pushpakumar alias Inya Bharati, a former member of the Eastern Provincial Council, was arrested yesterday. Additionally, another individual named Sivalingan Thavasilin was also arrested along with Inya Bharati. Police stated that these individuals were apprehended based on information uncovered while interrogating Pillayan in connection with ongoing murder investigations.
KCK Kumara, the Deputy Commissioner of the Urban Branch of the Inland Revenue Department, has been arrested by officers of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. According to the Commission, he was taken into custody at around 3 p.m. today at the Urban Branch of the Inland Revenue Department.
A businessman from Piliyandala has lodged a complaint stating that while attempting to obtain the 2025 tax clearance certificate for a business located on the Demaragoda Kolannava road, he was informed that 1.1 million rupees in tax arrears remained outstanding from the previous year. According to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, the officer in question had allegedly demanded a bribe of 100,000 rupees to waive the outstanding tax amount and issue the 2025 clearance certificate. The bribe amount was later negotiated down to 50,000 rupees, of which 42,000 rupees was paid on the 3rd of this month. The officer was apprehended by Bribery Commission officials while accepting the remaining 8,000 rupees.
Sri Lanka today mourns the loss of one of its most respected and accomplished public servants, Bradman Veerakoon, who passed away at the age of 94. His death marks the end of an era in Sri Lanka's administrative history, leaving behind a legacy of integrity, intellect, and unwavering dedication to public service.
Born on the 20th of October 1930 in Colombo to Edmund and Edith Veerakoon, Bradman Veerakoon was educated at Holy Cross College, Kaluthara, and later at St. Thomas's College, Guruthalawa, and later in Mount Lavinia before entering the University of Colombo, then known as the University of Ceylon. He graduated with honours in economics and sociology from the University of Ceylon. Subsequently, he was awarded a prestigious Fulbright scholarship which enabled him to pursue a postgraduate degree in sociology at the University of Michigan, USA. His academic journey laid the foundation for a career that would span decades and shape the course of Sri Lanka's governance. In 1954, Veerakoon joined the Ceylon Civil Service, embarking on a distinguished career that saw him serve as secretary to 7 prime ministers of Sri Lanka. In 1953, Bradman Veerakoon was appointed as Assistant Secretary to the then Prime Minister Sir John Kuthalawala. He went on to serve as Secretary to several successive Prime Ministers, including S.W.R.D. Bandaranaike, Vijayananda Dahanayake, Sirimavo Bandaranaike and Dudley Senanayake. In 1970, he was appointed government agent for the Batticaloa and Ampara districts. He retired from the Sri Lanka State Service in 1976 upon being appointed Secretary General of the International Conference on Family Planning. In 1977, the newly elected government of J.R. Jayawardena recalled Veerakoon to public service, appointing him as Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Plantation Industries. In 1980, he was appointed Secretary to Prime Minister Ranasinghe Premadasa, and following the Black July riots in 1983, he took on a critical role as Commissioner General of Essential Services. Later, he served as advisor on international affairs to President Premadasa and continued in an advisory capacity under President D.B. Wijetunga. With the election of President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga in 1994, Veerakoon stepped down from his official duties. He was once again appointed Secretary to the Prime Minister in 2001 following the election of Ranil Wickremesinghe. During this period, he played a key role in supporting the peace process in Sri Lanka.
Today, the leaders try as hard as they can, and they are mainly assisted by a media and a press which is also very, very strong. So it is rather difficult for a leader of today to completely come up to fulfillment of all the ideas and objectives of leadership. But they try, and I'm sure that most of them carry within the thought that we must try as hard as we can to achieve what we plan to do.
His tenure in this pivotal role earned him a reputation as a skilled administrator and a steady hand during times of political transition and national transformation. He was a highly deserving recipient of Sri Lanka's prestigious title of Deshamanya, conferred to those few distinguished individuals seen to have served the state to their utmost capacity, who merit the full respect and reverence to the state and all her citizens. The remains of late Bradman Veerakoon are currently laid to rest at his residence in Kaluthara. The remains will be moved to a private funeral parlour in Boralla tomorrow for public viewing. Final rites of late Bradman Veerakoon will be held on the 9th of July in Colombo.
A day after asking his followers on his X platform whether a new US political party should be created, Tesla and SpaceX CEO and American multi-billionaire Elon Musk said on Saturday that he is launching a new political party weeks after dramatically falling out with US President Donald Trump. Responding to this, US President Donald Trump hit out at former close ally Elon Musk, calling his plan to launch a new political party ridiculous.
The dispute between Republican President Donald Trump and the American multi-billionaire Elon Musk, Trump's main campaign financer, took another fractious turn on Saturday when he announced the formation of a new political party. Musk announced on his social media platform X that he had set up the America Party, a uniparty to challenge the Republican and Democratic two-party system. The move came amid escalating tensions with US President Donald Trump after a series of public disagreements between the two. Speaking to reporters before boarding Air Force One, President Donald Trump responded to Musk's decision. Quote, "I think it's ridiculous to start a third party." End quote.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
After teasing the idea of launching a new political party for weeks, Musk posted on X over the weekend that he had set up the new party to oppose the Republican and Democratic parties to challenge Trump's big, beautiful tax bill, which Musk fiercely opposed, saying that the tax bill would bankrupt America. Musk wrote on X, quote, "By a factor of 2 to 1, you want a new political party and you shall have it." End quote. Adding to the tensions, President Trump said he would take a look at the possibility of Elon Musk being deported after Musk criticized Trump's big, beautiful bill for what he called insane spending and renewed his call for a new political party. However, Musk, who was born outside of the US and is thus ineligible to run for the US presidency, did not say who will lead it, and it still remains unclear if the party has been formally registered with US election authorities.
Sri Lanka has announced a 17-member squad for the upcoming T20I series against Bangladesh, with Charita Salanka named as captain.
Dinesh Chandimal, Kusal Janit Pereira, Dasun Shanaka, Chamika Karunaratne, Nuwan Tushara, Matisha Pathirana and Binura Fernando, who were omitted from the one-day international squad, have been included in Sri Lanka's T20 international squad. Meanwhile, players named in the one-day squad, Pathum Nisanka, Kusal Mendes, Kamidu Mendes, Avishka Fernando, Dunit Velalage, Vanidu Hasaranga, Mahesh Tikshana and Nishan Malinga have also been selected for the T20 International Series. The three-match T20 International Series between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is scheduled to commence on 10th of July at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium. The final match of Sri Lanka-Bangladesh one-day international series is set to take place tomorrow at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium.
From what I observed of the wicket, it appears to be favourable for the batsman, offering good bounce as well. I believe the batsmen will learn from their earlier mistakes, put up a strong fight and post a competitive total. At this stage, our focus is not on the biggest tournaments, but rather on building the right process. We are still far from finalising that process and have yet to make any definitive decisions. However, I expect that the batting lineup will remain consistent moving forward.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.